Rahim, Chairman Senate Syed Yusuf Raza Gilani, Speaker of the National Assembly Sardar Ayaz Sadiq, Prime Minister Muhammad Shahbaz Sharif, Honorable Members of the Parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu Alaikum. It is my singular privilege as your twice elected President to address the August House for the 9th time at the beginning of a new parliamentary year. Each such address is a reminder of continuity of our democratic system and of the responsibility we carry as representatives of people of Pakistan. Nations are tested only in times of crisis, but a key crossroad. The past year has reminded us that the strength of our republic lies in its constitution, in the resilience of our people, the responsibilities of parliament and government, and courage of our armed forces. As we begin a new parliamentary year, we must build upon the resilience, safeguarding sovereignty, strengthening continuational governance, and advancing economic transformation so that the stability of because growth and generate prosperity, progress, for peace for every citizen. As we gather here today, we stand on the foundation laid by those who shaped our national journey. Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah envisioned a democratic state rooted in the constitutionalism and rule of law. Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto gave this nation in its unanimous constitution. Shaheed Mohtarama Benazir Bhutto strengthened democracy process through sacrifices and exemplary leadership. My own belief in the parliamentary authority does not lie in words alone, but in action that builds our legacy. The last time I was president, I unilaterally returned the powers given to the presidency back to the House of Parliament as envisioned in the 1973 Constitution. Through historic 18th Amendment, today the presidency stands as symbol of unity, of federation, a bridge between federating units and a guardian of constitutional laws, and binds us all. Honorable members, the past 10 months tested our nation in profound and complex ways. When our sovereignty was challenged on either front, Pakistan responded with strategic restraint and firm resolve. When confronted with unprovoked attacks on both our borders, one after the other, our armed forces acted with outstanding professionalism and discipline. In the case of Marka-e-Haq, they turned India's attack on our motherland into a landmark strategic victory. On the western border, when the Taliban regime ramped up a long line of attacks, the night of 26th February, our security forces acted decisively to signal zero tolerance for any incursions or sovereign territory. The political leadership stood united. The people stood resolute. At the outset, I want to express my nation's undying gratitude to the heroic defenders of our borders. It is because of the vigilance, bravery, and service that we are sitting here secure in our workplace and homes. In both successful military encounters, whether short or long, the sacrifices of our army, our forces, navy, rangers, frontier corps, police services and intelligence agencies will never be reduced to numbers. We only see their action on the media with pride. We don't really see the blood and sweat and tears that go into their training and hardship and service. Each operation reflects planning, discipline, and restraint. Each martyr represents a family that's upon ultimate service for Pakistan's stability. When I visit the families, I feel the same pain that I felt when I lost my wife, Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, who was martyred by terrorists in the prime of her life. I therefore remind you all that as state we must continue to support their families with dignity and honor. 2025 marked a turning point for Pakistan, defined by the resounding military victories in Marka-e-Haq, which decisively repelled external aggression and shattered the myth of regional conventional superiority. Nobody in South Asia will be free and safe until the Kashmiris win their freedom for Indian occupation. Today, trapped in the strategic short-sightedness, India's leaders said they are preparing for another war. As a lifelong advocate of regional peace, I would not recommend it. At the same time, I would also say that any aggressor should prepare for another humiliating defeat. Make no mistakes, we are ready for you. My message to them is move away from war theatre to meaningful negotiation tables, because that is the only path for the regional security. Pakistan is a responsible nuclear state. We understand the weight of that responsibility. At the same time, we are a state that defends itself decisively when required. Our conduct reflects maturity, confidence, clarity of purpose. In 2025, we acted when necessary and exercised restraint once objectives were achieved. The message was understood clearly within region and beyond. In 2026, last week, in fact, when India began to amplify the proxy operations via Afghanistan, the Taliban regime saw with shock and awe what Pakistan can do if pushed past the red line. Until that week, we had tried every possible form of diplomacy to prevent an outbreak of military response to terrorist incursions from Afghanistan, for as war as always the last option to state accepts a strike attack on its soil. Article 51 of the UN Charter gives us the right to defend our sovereignty. We let both India and Afghanistan see a fraction of our capabilities. Over the last 3 years, our armed forces and law enforcement agencies have undertaken determined intelligence-based operations against Indian-sponsored foreign terrorists. This is not a counter-terrorism campaign. The military is fighting alone. The entire nation stands united with its armed forces against cross-border terrorism. Our actions spelled out the limits of our tolerance for attacks from Afghanistan, particularly Indian-sponsored TTP and BLA and affiliates. Let me be clear, the soil of Pakistan is sacred. We will not allow any entity, domestic or foreign, to use neighboring territory to destabilize our peace. The recent report from the United Nations Security Council monitoring team has described presence of terrorist groups in Afghanistan as an extra-regional threat. This report warns that any other country could fall victim to another catastrophic attack if the issues are ignored. However, it is sad fact that despite multiple diplomatic engagements by Pakistan and our friendly brother countries, the Afghan de facto regime continues to provide safe sanctuaries to a variety of terrorist groups including Al-Qaeda, BLA and TTP. All promises they made in Doha not to allow these terror groups to operate from Afghan soils have been conveniently forgotten. They must choose to dismantle the terror groups that survive on conflict and its war economy. None of this will feed Afghanistan's children or create opportunities for national cohesion. In our end, we have never treated the Afghan people as anything but kith and kin. We have never walked away from dialogue. The Afghan people need a break from endless wars. Don't take away the choice of the future of prosperity connected to peace. I would urge them to stop being used by other countries as a battlefield for their ambitions. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan remains deeply concerned at the recent grave developments and has always sought to prevent unilateral attacks on any country. In this spirit, we strongly condemn the war being waged on Iran while negotiations were underway. We have reaffirmed our support for sovereignty and territorial integrity of our brotherly nation. I join all Pakistanis condoling the martyrdom of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. May Allah grant him highest place in Jannah. To this end, we appreciate the efforts of all those countries that sought de-escalation, a conflict between two nuclear neighbors in South Asia, particularly those who took the lead in brokering a ceasefire to end the devastating war that could have engulfed the entire globe. I note with satisfaction that in the past year, Pakistan and US have opened new avenues for strengthening cooperation, investment and economic partnership. The coming year will be even more productive. Anchoring our security in economic growth and regional connectivity, our relations with China have ascended to new heights in all areas. We are iron-clad brothers. CPEC 2.0 will revolutionize Pakistan's infrastructure. The entire nation is beholden to China for its solidarity with Pakistan during Marka-e-Haq. I am grateful to the President Xi for advancing our shared objectives of security and connectivity. We have deepened our ties with Gulf countries, Azerbaijan and Turkey. The Pakistan-Saudi Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement is a new milestone in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, while our efforts today are focused on ending the sufferings of the Palestinian people and ending the destruction of Gaza, our principal stance remains unchanged. We will continue to support the creation of independent and undivided state of Palestine with borders as before 1967 and Al-Quds al-Sharif as their capital. India attempts to manipulate the river flows and engage in what amounts to water aggression requires careful long-term policy planning. India's illegal actions that placed Indus Water Treaty in absence is plain and simple. Hydro-terrorism, a weaponization of vital water flows to exert political leverage, the bilateral disregard for international humanitarian law not only jeopardizes Pakistan's agriculture economy but signals a dangerous escalation in India's strategy to destabilize the region. Rivers symbolize life. International law does not permit the unilateral blockage of water. This is not merely a bilateral issue. The stability of the region also depends on a web of trans-boundary water sharing practice. If one treaty is flouted, many others across the board may also suffer the same fate. We will defend our waters rights with unity, resolve, and strength and legal clarity. Honorable members, as President-elect of both Houses of the Parliament and all provincial assemblies, I am constitutionally bound to safeguard the unity of the Federation and the Parliament. Provincial autonomy under the Constitution has strengthened participatory governance. A strong federation does not require centralization. It requires coordination. Constitutional reforms such as the Council of Common Interest must function effectively. Issues relating to our natural resources, facial distribution, energy coordination, and water management must be resolved through consultative. A functioning and harmonious federation also requires an efficient, equitable distribution of resources. I look forward to a just and equitable National Finance Commission award in the coming year. Balochistan has historically deprivation. It deserves special attention. While we continue to dismantle insurgencies fueled by foreign proxies, we are equally focused on addressing genuine social and economic grievances of Balochistan people. Our strategy is Hearts and Minds campaign, ensuring that dividends of our mineral wealth and blue economy reaches the local population first. The people of Balochistan are and must remain full partners in Pakistan's progress. Honorable members, economy stability is inseparable from national security. I commend the government for steering the economy out of a wretched collapse it faced in the spring of 2022. Through steady stewardship, we have been seen stability return to key indicators. But this is the first step on our journey to a sustained people-centered growth. Our salaried class, pensioners, laborers, small traders have endured long night hardships. Next phase must therefore focus on inclusive growth, jobs and direct relief. Structural reforms remain essential. Transparency in taxation expenditure is fundamental to trust. The tax base must be widened. Technology innovation are reshaping the global economy. Pakistan resists policy framework for emerging sectors, digital assets. Sustainable platforms have been created to support responsible expansion in these areas. We cannot afford technological isolation. Perhaps no single bottleneck, constraints or economic potential may then energize the cost. At a time when the world is moving towards clean energy, Pakistan cannot afford to lag behind. Energy reform is not a sectoral issue. It is a precondition for industrial revival. Agriculture anchors food security and rural livelihood. Climate resilience, agriculture, water management, and coordinated policies are strategic imperative. Climate justice remains a principle we will continue to advocate internationally, but it must be visible at home too. Poverty cannot define the experience of our population. While we plan on going forward, our special protection framework, BISP, should grow to empower those of the bottom of the social pyramid. We must continue to dismantle barriers of women progress, ensuring the daughters of Pakistan have the safety, digital access and financial independence to lead our nation into the future. Honorable members, security, economy, constitutional governance, and our interconnected pillars. Weakness is one undermines the other. Strength in one reinforces all. Pakistan has emerged from a period of acute pressure with restored credibility, renown, and renewed confidence. The responsibility now lies with us, legislators and policy extractions, to ensure the gains and the consolidation as we begin this new parliamentary year. Our priorities must remain clear. Protect sovereignty, eliminate terrorism, build on economic stability towards growth and job creation, strengthen federal harmony, and deepen democratic governance. Let us preserve the unity displayed in the moment of trial. Let us institutionalize reforms. Let us ensure microeconomic gains translate into household relief. Let us safeguard our borders while creating opportunities within. May Allah Almighty guide us in fulfilling the trust placed on us. Pakistan Zindabad, Parliament Paindabad.